everyone, this is Kelly and I am here to do a walkthrough for you. I have in the last couple weeks had a computer crash in which I lost a lot of video footage, which is kind of frustrating. So I'm kind of cleansing the palette before I kind of go back and start redoing some walkthroughs. And I am going to cleanse the palette with this fresh little one that I had come in not too long ago. So this deck was sent to me for a purpose of review. But I will say that before that happened, my friend Patrick had gotten this deck and was in love with it and was like, yeah, I just really love this deck, and I'm like, okay, I can tell you really love this deck. So I'm actually, and I have looked at it a little bit, I'm actually really excited about taking a look at it more in depth. It's a pip style deck that also has, I think of it, the best that I can describe it before like really going one through one it is that it's an open deck in the sense that there is enough of a pip style to be able to do what you want to do in terms of interpretation, but yet there is enough of a nod at traditional meanings to also give that sort of hit of the meaning there. So that makes for a very open deck that it's a sweet spot in decks that I really like to see, such as in Pagan Otherworlds, where it is a pip style deck, but you do have a nod to the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery behind them as well, but still keeps it open. Or the Spacious Tarot, or the not Secret Forest, oh my goodness, I'm going to blank on that, with the panoramics, that really keeps it open, but you do have nods to the meanings of the deck. Those kind of decks to me they're not pure pip, where, you know, there's no nod at all, which I do love, but they're not like fully illustrated where you're kind of locked into the interpretation by the artist or the creator. It's this beautiful sweet spot, and that's what is really, to me, beautiful about this deck that as I've seen so far. So again, all that, you know, to say, let's actually look at it. It's called The Beauty of Bones Tarot, and it's by the Peaceful Pagan Person, which I love. I assume that's their social media named, and also their company name. Peaceful Pagan Person. I'll put, you know, link in the description box below. A 78 card photographic deck with rose gold foiling and gilded edges, UV spot printing, and a printed guidebook. Your fate awaits. Beautiful imagery. I'm assuming this is the High Priestess. I can't remember. I did kind of flip through them, but I'm assuming this is the High Priestess card, which is absolutely gorgeous. Obviously, this is bones and skeletal, skull based. Something that I really love in ancestry work, liminal space work. I really have found I have come to really appreciate a well done bones deck. So it's quite beautiful. The first image here that we have is quite beautiful. Now I will say, because I have looked at this, this is the same as the backs. I love the backs of this deck, even though being a photographic deck, they did choose a glossy style deck because that does make photographic decks really pop. I'm not a huge fan of high gloss decks, but I do absolutely love the backs of this, and you can see again that spot. I think that's what this UV spot printing is where you do get this beautiful some matte areas and some glossy areas. It's just gorgeous, and it's one of my favorite backings. So that's what we have there. When we open it up, we just have a black inside. It's a nice sturdy box, you know, a good sturdy box. Here we have their card. Again, yep, it's at www.peacefulpaganperson.com. I'm guessing that's illustration of the artist, which I love, or the creator. Thank you. Love your order. Share on social media. I'm sharing on social media, Peaceful Pagan Person, at all the things. So that's what we got there. So here we have the guidebook, which is really beautiful. It's small text, but not so small that I don't have any issue reading it. I do like that you get an image of the cards. You get some keywords of both upright and reversed. So it seems, we'll look at a couple of these to see what's put in here. But again, I really like that we have the photographic image there. Oh, that's gorgeous. And again, we will see what that's given. So it's not a ton of text, but certainly seems to be enough to touch you into the card if that's something that you need. Of course, we're seeing the magician. Now, that's interesting. I wonder if I put, let me see. I won't, I'll pull it away. Maybe, okay, maybe there's a, I must have just done that myself. Oh no, I was wrong about the High Priestess. Okay. Okay. Let's go like this. So here we go. Again, the back's definitely glossy and the fronts, okay, we'll turn. Actually not. The fronts are not overly glossy. That's interesting. The fronts have kind of a satin. This is beautiful. And we're at the bottom of the deck. That's why we're getting the King of Treasures. I love this. The coins are my favorites. So the back is that glossy with that spot UV. Some are matte. Parts of it is matte and parts of it's glossy. You can see that high gloss. It's gorgeous. I love these backs. It's just subtle gorgeousness, and it really caught my attention. Again, as it said, the sides, I don't know if the camera is going to really pick it up, because to me, in the viewfinder, it just looks gold, but in person, it is a rose gold. Kind of a coppery rose gold, but definitely a rose gold. It's quite beautiful. I am, again, not a huge fan of gilded edges. I mean, I like them. They're not an issue for me one way or another. But these are really beautifully done, and I like that they're the rose gold there. It's really pretty in person. So yeah, no, I'm actually pleasantly, I looked at these really quickly just to get a look, but I wanted to save the walkthrough for the walkthrough. So obviously I'm really glad to see this. The front is a beautiful satin. There's it's not reflection. It's a satin. It's beautiful. It feels matte, has just a sheen to it that makes the photographs pop without like a glaring shine to it. It's actually stunning. So these are what I would guess I would call photographics collage. Like it's kind of like with the, I don't know if you've seen like the Mysteries of Mary tarot, where you know they're setting up a scene to photograph. So it's got a collagey feel, but it's a photographed collage, not a digital collage, if that makes sense, if I'm saying that correctly. I don't know if it says anything in here. Let me just see. No, it goes right into, so we have, well, here, there's a forward. Let's see what this says. The Beauty of Bones tarot deck seamlessly examines the dichotomy between life and death with hauntingly beautiful images. The photographs on each card explore the strengths and limitations of the human body, stiff bones paired with luscious living flowers, and carefully selected components that capture what it truly means to be human. This unique deck pulls from the traditional tarot imagery and meaning, but has been recreated through a contemporary lens. Within these cards, a poetic visionary quest begins. Your fate awaits. Has sort of the index. It has wands, fire element, motivation, ambition, passion. Chalices, water element, emotions, creativity, intuitions. Nails instead of swords. Air element, power, logic, communication. Treasures, earth element, finances, prosperity, and manifestation. So kind of cue into where they're landing with those suits, which I love. And then it just pops right into the Fool. So I'm just going to read what we have here. Upright, unlimited potential, beginnings, freedom, innocence, spontaneity, reversed, reckless, foolish, careless, naive, and gullible. And then, of course, we have the title of the Fool, and then we have the free-spirited, vibrant energy of the Fool blooms as he connects to the energy around and within him. He rushes forward with unbridled enthusiasm, stopping only momentarily to appreciate the beauty of the natural world. The Fool ventures out with just the essentials, his enthusiasm, curiosity, and faith. He invites you to take a chance and do the same. The Fool sits on yellow velvet, symbolizing his cheerful disposition. Okay, I like this. They're talking about why these things are here. He sits on yellow velvet, symbolizing his cheerful disposition and motivation for direct action. You never know what the future will bring. Just like the Fool, take that first step into the unknown, live in the moment, and you will figure everything out along the way, mistakes and all. So I quite like that. I mean, for the majors, they've given you quite a lot. We'll see if that carries through into the minors there. And I like that we've gotten at least a mention of what we're seeing in the cards, so we'll see also if that carries through. That's quite beautiful. So there's their Fool, and we can see that, I don't know if you can see this, but the background edges, right, are different. So the borders are not just borders, but they also have sort of a varying floral borders. I'm sorry, I know I'm pre-showing you some of the cards, but the borders are changing. I'll see when we get into the suits if they continue to be different on each of the cards. So there we have the Fool, and we can see that the title is also in the same rose gold as we have on the edge of the cards. Really easy to read, quite beautiful. Oh, I love the Magician, like he feels. Now that same yellow cloth comes, just like we have this, the everything coming out of the bag. I like that continuity of the yellow cloth. I'm just going to see if they mention it here. Nourish your ideas, watch them thrive. The lush foliage and flowers surrounding the Magician symbolize the fruition of his aspirations and endeavor. Anything is possible. He is partially concealed by a luxurious velvety yellow fabric, the bold color of inspired action, happiness, and manifestations. A glistening infinity symbol radiates above his head, a beautiful reminder of possibilities. So there are nods into the guidebook, it seems to be, of why these particular symbols are used, but visually, right, this really speaks to possibility and potential and kind of contained, but then it's all like exploding outward with the power of the Magician. I quite love that. This is really gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. This is stunning. I thought this was the High Priestess, which I don't know if this is going to show up or if this is separate. Maybe this is us, but this is beautiful. They both are very high priesty looking. We even have the crown with the moon on there that we normally see. It talks in the guidebook about the blue veil and the celestial crown, the purple flowers. She is a teacher, divulging her secrets and sacred wisdom to those who earn it. Again, really beautiful. The starkness of the skulls really pops with all of the other things that she's utilizing in her, in the photograph. Beautiful. I love this Empress. Again, there's such both a simultaneous simpleness and then just richness at the same time. Like, look at the change of the border from those purple tones into the redness and the lushness and even the greenery, and then the pomegranate there, just speaking of all of these seeds and all of this creative energy here, and talks about the deep red of the seeds, the luxurious burgundy cloth representing fertility, and so on and so forth. And even talking about the gesture that seems such a simple gesture, that conveys the essence of the Empress. So it feels to me like, again, somebody who has taken a lot of time to convey in the setup of the photograph, but also to be able to express what all of this is for. That is just, oh my gosh, that made me jump. I muted my phone. That literally, I guess I was so intent into feeling the feels that it really, it really caused me to jump. Again, this is stunning. Like, again, I came into this predisposed to thinking it was going to be beautiful because of what my friend had told me. But, yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. Here we have the Emperor. Beautiful. Is this the same? Yeah, say that same burgundy cloth tying together the Emperor and the Empress, which is gorgeous. She says in here, while the Emperor is primarily an authoritative figure, differing from the gentleness of the Empress, he is also committed to protecting and defending his loved ones. In his hands he holds a gleaming ankh, the ancient Egyptian symbol of eternal life. A spray of golden leaves and vibrant flowers rest against his crimson sash, representing power, status, and luxury. Again, and I know I'm kind of looking at it more with the keying in with it more in the majors here, but I just like to see that everything placed is for a reason, and she tells you that reason. I really appreciate that in guidebooks. Here we have the Hierophant. Again, you know, you can see the traditional Hierophant here. That authority and power of the Burgundy is carried through here. So again, to me, this is very recognizable. I like the body posture, the crown. Very interesting with the hand up. She talks about the hand being up with the, to the flower, like being very comfortable in its power. And so that's what we have there. Again, loving the borders. Here we have the Lovers with the heart and the flowers growing through it. Rests out in the open with all its vulnerability and strength. On seductive black lace, sweet bunches of baby's breath gently bloom within the ventricles, symbolizing pure and everlasting love. And again, goes on to talk about the various things. Of course, we now have the two skulls here. So I do like that we have the 3 points, where we sometimes have the 2 people and an angel, or the 2 people and a burst of light, or, you know, there's different things. I do like to always see kind of a bit of a trifecta there. And so I like that we still have that tie-in there. Here we have the Chariot. This one is interesting. Oh, here, I guess, I thought these were snakes at first, but these are not. These are sphinxes, like sphinx statues. So we have that traditional tie in there. It is interesting that we have the mouth with the flower, like all of this kind of control here. The burst of vivacious blooms mirrors excitement, enthusiasm of the Chariot. We have the skull, or the skulls, the sphinxes there that can pull. The yellow wildflowers accompany the sphinxes, representing the possibilities of the future. But there is something about that, almost like you're not... you don't need the reins, because it's the power of the will and the power of even speech that can drive you forward, which I think is quite interesting as a, this is my birth card. Here we have the Strength. This is actually really beautiful, using the statuary with it in the line in the hand, especially in that kind of cradling position that it's in. It's quite an intimate pose with the energy of the lion that I think is really beautiful. I like that one a lot, actually. This I love. This may so far be my favorite. I do love the Magician. I love the High Priest. I love, this is probably my favorite one so far. But that would be my second favorite, or maybe matching in favorite. That's just beautiful. I do love the real candle here. I really like the reflective energy. What's interesting is that I think the hand is resting on it, right? More as in almost like holding it. Obviously, there's only so much you can do with the skeletal hand here. But it almost looks like he's being warmed by his own fire of knowledge. That, again, I don't know that that is actually meant in terms of the setup of the scene, but it really is quite poignant to me, and I love it. That's gorgeous. Wheel of Fortune, just kind of lacing the flowers and the baby breath around it. Let's see what she says here. The Ferris wheel, the repetitive cycle. Yellow roses, reminder to enjoy the moment. Time is constantly moving, indicates blossoming opportunities and turning points. A hand rests in the corner, waiting to make a decision that turns the wheel. So it brings choice into it as well, which is an interesting twist on that I quite love. Makes sense with justice. We have the scales. I like that it looks to me like the heart is there. I believe that is a heart. A pair of hands looms on either side. The metal scales themselves are cold and unyielding. The beam bows with the weight of decision. Justice holds the key to morality and order. Integrity. This actually doesn't say. I could be wrong. I don't know if I can see. Is that a heart? Is that the heart right here? That might just be a flower. But to me, I guess that doesn't matter what it is, because it kind of made me feel like, oh, like we're instead of the heart to the feather, like it's the heart with the flower on the other side. I don't know. I think it's really beautiful. It works very well as a justice. Here we have the Hanged Man. I also like that the rope is piled down here, which is quite interesting. Obviously, it's the way to do it with the, you know, she has to work within the confines of her medium, which is really, I love to see these types of things because they've got to work through, okay, in the confines of the medium that you're using, what it makes you make certain decisions. And, you know, it's not showing the whole body where we would see the rope at the ankles, but I actually really like the rope down here at the bottom because it's almost like it's the binding to be upside down has been loose, and it's just that fullness of the choice to turn yourself upside down. So I quite like that. This is gorgeous. That's gorgeous. So obviously that is a skull been taken apart and opened up to see all of the pieces. So you have almost this death as a dismantling energy, which is really gorgeous. It says death stands starkly and unapologetically, depicted as a, I don't know how to say that particular word. It looks like Boshen skull. Interwoven into this figure are black flowers, a calla lily, and a rose blooms of elegance, mystery, and intrigue. It's really gorgeous. It's very gorgeous, and I really like that sort of almost like this moment. You know, you think about like a movie moment in which everything just kind of spreads apart like in slow motion, and there is this dismantling of everything that we think matters, what we think really means life, but actually obviously it's more beneath. It's to get underneath that to where the real life is. So that's really gorgeous. Oh, Temperance. Okay, so this one on here is the Temperance card. Temperance is a stoic figure cloaked in a black floral veil adorned with gold tip halo. This is very different to me, but it's more looking at that angelic that we see. The enlightened being is an angel, a manifestation of the full gender spectrum. The black feathers of their massive wings fill the expanse behind them. Temperance embodies balance and kindness, illuminating the world as a shining beacon of patience. That's really gorgeous. Gorgeous. Ooh, interesting devil with that sort of devil. I was going to say, it looks like a Baphomet. I don't know how that's how you say that, but it says half man, half goat. He has many names, the horned god, Baphomet, the devil. They are all one and the same. Baphomet is an ancient pagan figure, walking the line between good and evil, organization and chaos, indulgence and self-control. He raises his hand in a blessing, symbolic of his notability and influence as a deity. Because of these associations, the figure morphed into Christianity's version of the devil. devil. Because of this, the devil has grown to represent the dark side of magic, addiction, hypersexuality, the bringer of defiance, of deviance, primal energy, and temptation. Two figures stand behind him, facing one another, contemplating their desires. The blood red carnations represent carnal passions. I mean, it's very recognizable as the devil card here and all the things inherent. This is gorgeous but interesting because you could almost see this card as being the death card. An upper torso lace still partially hidden by delicate red lace. Exhausted but regaining. This is after the fall. Like the tower has happened. They have fallen out the window and slammed onto their back, and now they're kind of taking that moment to then stand up and shake themselves off. I like this moment, for this frozen moment, because it's centered around the person in the figure versus the tower itself, but the person who's fallen out the window. I quite like that. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Here we have the star with the crown and the two cups that we often see the liquids going back and forth between, or pouring into, I guess I should say, into the water and then into the, onto the land. Quite beautiful. Makes sense to me. Here we have the moon. Interesting. The moon glows brightly, surrounded by flowers and glittering branches, illuminating the path to self-discovery. The world isn't black and white, and the moon governs the dream realm, representing the gray areas. That's quite beautiful. Very pretty. I like the silvery tones versus the gold tones of the star. Here we have the sun. Of course, we've got the sunflower to tap it in. But I love that we don't have any naked babies here. Looks like we almost have like pieces of gold even on the plate. Yeah, fiery blooms and nuggets of gold. Radiates warmth and vitality, literally and figuratively. That's really beautiful. The sun. Judgment has the kind of ear horn. I think that that's what that is, but I could be wrong. Let's go here. Blares the sound of the no, it's a gramophone commands our attention. That's a gramophone. It's sitting on, it's got that little gramophone next to it instead of the trumpet that you would normally see. This can lead to an, yeah, goes into it, but that's what that is. But it, again, cues you into the traditional imagery that you see with the Judgment. And then we have the whirl, which look, it's just fully blossoming. Like everything is in blossom. It's absolutely beautiful. These majors are gorgeous. There really isn't any that the moon, I don't like, isn't like a huge, I feel like I would almost like to have seen maybe darker flowers and things to separate it even more from the star more. But from the sun and the moon, they really have that contrast to each other. So again, I like it. It's just not like an absolute favorite, but most of these I really like the changes. And again, I think that when an artist has a particular medium that they're using to create, it forces them to consider the cards and how to depict them, and it ends up with some really beautiful shifts that I just really enjoyed. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. So obviously we're going into the wands, and the wands, the minors are more what I would call more pip-like from what I've seen, but we'll see as we go. I'm going to keep the aces out so I can see the aces all together. But there we have the Ace of Wands. We have the Two of Wands, which we do have the two hands here. We have the Three Wands, so they're all these similar looking wands there. We have the Four. I love that configuration of the Five. Again, it feels like what we think of with the Five of Wands. The Six of Wands, harmonizing out the energy of this. The Five shook up the order, and then a Six comes in and harmonizes. Then we have the Seven coming in. Then we have the traditional Eight, not my favorite of any of the minors, but you know, it works here. Nine of Wands feels very, you know, outward trajectory there. And then that beautiful, you know, all the wands together, right? It's that such powerful energy there. I really love the way that they're done here. Now here we have the pages, so that's interesting. I think that she's going to use the different colors. Obviously this tells you that this is the ace. This looks kind of like an ace if you were just scanning, but we have the page, the knight, yep, and then we have the queen, and then we have the queen and the king are both in the gold. So we have color tones. I don't know if that will carry out through. Let's just see what it says. I didn't look at any of the... Let me go to the 10 page. Full of fiery transformative energy. The wand rests on the crimson lace. Curious, spontaneous energy. We have the knight. Of course, we have the chainmail behind the knight. We have a queenly crown and a more kingly crown here, which I'm guessing we might see. I'm going to keep the court out to compare them as well. So like we had the hand in the ace of wands, we have the hand holding the cup as, again, more traditional, which is, I guess, what's going to set it probably apart from the pages. Here we have the two. I like the finger bones here. I wonder if it says anything about that. Let's take a look. Blooming. A sea of bones surrounds the scene, symbolizing unity and connection. All the small pieces come together to make the whole. That's gorgeous. 3, that's beautiful. 4, the 4 cups. Again, I like this. I don't get the boredom feeling, but you can get that tie-in if you really need to. Obviously, we've seen the color. They're different. So sorry, let me pull back here for a second. We see the strong red influence in the fire, even though they're not all the same. They're different borders. And now we're getting this kind of blues and purple tones in the cups. That 3 is really gorgeous. And I really love the 4. 5 with the knocked over cups there. The 6 comes in and harmonizes them. The 7, ooh, we've got some rib bones there and some other bones. In the 7 with all of the different cups full of things. The 8s all lined up. Love it. Interesting. 9. I love that all of a sudden, I want to say that's the fullest body that we've gotten. Let's just see if it says anything about it. A skeleton sits with their arms crossed, inspecting a row of perfectly aligned chalices. Everything is falling into place beautifully. The 9 of chalices grants wishes, bringing an abundance of achievements. That's really gorgeous. 10, again, the abundance of it, that kind of rainbow that we often see of it. And then we have our pages, the single chalice, but it doesn't have the hand in it like the ace. The knight with, again, using that bit of chainmail there. The beautiful Queen of Cups. And the King of Cups. Chalices, I should say. So then instead of swords, we have the nails. So here's our ace of nail with the hand. Of course, we also have the head, most likely because it's of the mind. I love that the crossed nail is in front of the mouth for the swords, right? Because it's also, you know, about communication. So that, but again, that crossed nails kind of tips you into traditional. Rider-Waite Smith, you know, 3 of swords with the nails there, but it's not piercing the heart. So for me, it can just be growth energy from the experiences of the heart. The 4 of nails is gorgeous. 5 is all shook up. The 6 comes in and smooths that passageway. The 7, 8 gives you that blindfold. Again, you've got that tap into, it doesn't, you know, terribly bind it, but it gives you that tap into the traditional, again, more Rider-Waite Smith, I would say, again, than traditional. The 8, I love the pathway of the 9, and then the 10 with all of the rib cage here is quite amazing. Here we have the page. Now that does kind of have a hand under it. I feel like they probably should have continued the not having any bones in the pages to separate it fully away from the aces. But again, it does say it right on there, so can't really complain too much. The knight, that's gorgeous. The queen, bringing in that queen sort of crown. And then the king seems to use also in the King of Cups this almost like a laurel type branch here that's brought in versus not always that crown. And then that brings us here. I have looked at these and I love these coins here. Almost the skull coins. It has kind of a piratey feel to them, which I quite love. Look at that. That's gorgeous with the 2 and the balancing. The 3, 4 between the fingers, I love. The 5, the energy's not as shook up. You'd think they'd be a little more shook up, but, you know, no complaints. 6 comes in. 7 comes in and is growing. 8 all nicely lined up. We've got some other bones with the leg bones. I also like the kind of watching that we have and having patience, which is kind of cool. The 9 and the 10 is just beautiful in configuration with the pips. And then you have your page, your knight again with the chainmail, the queen with the crown, and this king. So 2 of the kings have that. 2 of them have more of this laurel branch. I didn't end up saving them all out. 2 of them have more of this, I don't see queen, this laurel, and 2 have the crown. We have 2 of the queens with those, and then we have, like, this one doesn't show necessarily a crown there. So that's what they've done there. I do really like, I know I've not even paid attention. I should have zoomed out for this part. I really like the aces, kind of again with that traditional hand, but then that one nod to the head space of the nails or the swords. So that, I love this. Like, again, to me, this is that beautiful sweet spot that you can find in some decks where it is pip-like and keeps things wide open, but at the same time gives you nods to, in this case, definitely the Rider-Waite Smith, but also does some fun different things. I definitely can't bridge this. It's too thick to bridge, but it does, you know, you can get a nice riffle on it. Again, do what you want to do with your decks. Certainly, you know, this, you wouldn't be encouraged to riffle shuffle gilded edged decks, but I riffle shuffle everything that I have. And so I'm okay with my gilded edge looking used. I don't like it to chip off, but I'm fine with it looking worn and used. If it's a good gilding, it should wear in and look still beautiful. So, but if you want your gilding to stay, you know, absolutely gorgeous, so to speak, you're not going to want to riffle shuffle. And that's, so just do what you need to do with your decks, and I will do what I'm happy to do with my decks. But I don't mind how this shuffles. I am able to get a riffle, but it's definitely a stiffer cardstock. The overhand shuffle is really beautiful. Okay, just trying to get it a little bit shuffled up there so we can lay them out. I just find this to be gorgeous. What would I use this? Truthfully, I would use this for anything, but I would definitely feel like this is an amazing, you know, deck for ancestor messages. Visually wise, I almost feel like, even though they're very different, like, I definitely feel like I would utilize, which I use this deck a lot, I think visually it's going to pop and be really beautiful with this deck as well. I also feel like the cosmic oh, what is that called? The Cosmic. That's the same person who does the Blue Messiah oracle. I'm looking at it and all I can see is Cosmic. I'll grab it in a second. I also feel like that might go really beautifully with this deck in terms of an oracle. I don't know why I just reshuffled that. I'm just laying them out so you can see them in my general reading. But yeah, beautiful. Sweet spot of, I would use this with clients. I would have no issue using this with clients. I would, but because it's beautiful, it nods to the meanings, which people like to be able to see. I don't think that the skullness of it makes it in any way dark. It doesn't feel like it doesn't even feel like a shadowy deck to me. It feels actually very vibrant. It feels very much alive with the essence of things, and the essence isn't in our bones, right? The essence is what gives us a experience and a physical experience, but the true essence and the life of what it means to be human isn't in the bones themselves. And it just, the flowers just make it such a vibrant deck. And so to me it feels very vibrant and very alive, that juxtaposed with the skeletal energy there. It is quite beautiful. Now I'm really stoked about this one. Let me grab that other deck. Just thinking maybe the brightness and the boldness of the colors. Yeah, see, I think this would be, again, different art style entirely, but it's one of my favorite oracle cards ever. Like, I just love that. But I just feel like, I like to pull from this, but it wouldn't be in any way reduced in terms of that color pop. Even though, again, different art style, I feel like I feel strongly that you could pull from this deck and it would feel like a good connection energetically and in that boldness of color as well. So there we have it. This is again a look at the Beauty of Bones Tarot. Really happy to have had an opportunity to take a look at this beautiful deck, and for me it's certainly something I can see myself using and excited to use. I hope that this helps you, just to look at, again, I think anytime we have an opportunity to look at the way in which somebody has depicted a deck, we learn something. And so even if that's not all, but if that's what you get from walking through this with me, I hope you've enjoyed it. And then secondary benefit is to then find out whether it's a deck that is for you or not. So I hope that you've enjoyed this and that you have a wonderful rest of your day or more night, depending on when you are watching this.